the city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Flying guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Wingspan wide, catching all the vibes. Breaking down the huddles, catching all the tides. Every storm they face, never taking sides. Eagle vision clear with pride that never hides. Cheering loud in the vet, the links where they roam. From past legends to the young, calling it home. Weekly updates, buzzing like a drone. Deep dives and highlights of the unknown. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
Yeah. Y'all know the song, y'all know the vibes, y'all know the energy. You guys are locked in on a very special dose, Eagles versus Cowboys edition of the Eagles pregame show, featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk and yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. And Markus, the Eagles been doing a lot of winning lately.
Yes,
some people think it's legitimate. Some people want to pull the carpet from under them and say, you know what? Who did you play? And that's always a fascinating argument to me because it matters to an extent, but I feel like it does a disservice to all those brothers that you do play against, that you happen to beat, who put it all out on the line like anybody else, who make the same sacrifices as you, who put the same amount of work in that you would think as much as you, right? I mean, yeah, sure, there's a pecking order in the NFL, but everybody get paid the same amount, not the same, but everybody getting paid buku chips, right, Markus?
Everybody getting paid. Yes, sir. Everybody getting paid, man. But it is not necessarily untrue. The thing is, you kind of figure that out at the back end. Because we kind of experienced that last year. We were winning, but it was always an asterisk. It was always a question mark.
Right.
And then, you know, when the bottom fell out from under us at the end of last year, and then everybody was like, well, you kind of saw hints of that all season. Kind of in the same way. You can say that about any team because you're going to always look at their strengths and their weaknesses, but everybody wants to talk about the weaknesses, especially in regards to Philadelphia. So how many times do we have to hear Jalen Hurts can't throw across the middle, all of that kind of stuff, but he wins. And my argument with comments like that is you look at all of the stereotypical guys that check all the boxes, 6'4", 6'5", gun, arm, all of that type of stuff. And have they ever been to the Super Bowl? How many times have they been to the playoffs? Have they been successful in the playoffs? So you can ask those same questions to anybody and come up with basically the same answers, because there's going to be a lot of people that fall short, and there's going to be a lot of people that rise up that you didn't think would. People still doubting Brock Purdy at this moment. It's like if you ain't comfortable with what this dude is doing out in San Fran now, regardless of where he was drafted, regardless of that he was Mr. Irrelevant, take his name off the back of his jersey, and you seeing somebody playing good football. I said 2 years ago, the first year that Jalen started, because everybody was trumping up Trevor Lawrence. And I was like, if you switch their names, or if you switch the stats, Trevor Lawrence goes to the Pro Bowl. Easy. But because there was so much animosity towards Jalen Hurts, because he was a running quarterback, because he, it wasn't traditional, everybody has a problem with it. So I don't worry about that. You know me, man. At the end of the day, regardless of what you think, they got to play at the end of the week. And that's where everything is decided. Same thing with this week. It's Dallas week. You know everything's going to be a little bit more intense. Everything's going to be a little bit more hype. Despite Dallas having all these injuries, Dak is out for the rest of the season. Micah Parsons coming off an injury. CeeDee Lamb is not being up to snuff. All of that type of stuff. It's still going to be a knockdown, drag-out game. They always are. I would like for one time the Eagles to go down to Dallas and just dominate for 4 quarters. That's what I want to see. But we know how it goes. We don't always get what we want.
Well, they got a chance. They got a chance
Absolutely.
to do that today. Like you said, Dak Prescott, he's out for at least, as far as we know, the remainder of the season. I actually just got a notification across my phone not too long ago saying that he doesn't really want to do the surgery. He's trying to exhaust every option before he completely ends his 2024 campaign. And I completely understand that, right? You know, that's you want to indicate to your teammates that you're doing everything possible to get back onto that football field. So I respect that. But Dak is not going to be active in this game or for the foreseeable future. CeeDee Lamb, he was nursing an AC joint injury in the shoulder, so I think he will play, but how effective can he be? We'll find out.
All it takes is one hit.
Right, Mike, and you fall on that shoulder.
Oof.
Sometimes, like you said,
especially a receiver.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes, and receivers stay falling on their shoulders.
Yes, sir.
And you want to also throw in the fact that Micah Parsons is making his return today. He's supposed to be coming back. I think DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he's still another week away, or another week or two away from returning, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely, Micah Parsons is slated to come back as well. On the and Trevon Diggs questionable. Eric Kendricks questionable. Their safety, Wanye Thomas, is out. Now on the Eagles side, obviously Mailata, Byron Young, Britton Covey. You know, those guys are still on IR. But everyone, for the most part, for the Philadelphia Eagles has been upgraded to a full practice participant for the most part. The only person that's been a question really has been Van Sumeren with the concussion.
I read that he was clear today.
Perfect. That's good to hear. So the Philadelphia Eagles, outside of people who are on IR, they're fully healthy. You know, you have Mekhi Becton out there. You got Fred Johnson, who was dealing with a little bit of a knee scare after getting a cheap shot from Cisco.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
In that Jags game. So Fred Johnson, he's been a full participant for the most part all week. A.J. Brown has been a full participant despite having a little bit of a scare with his knee, which was a fascinating outcome as well, because he came out at halftime and then he went right back into the tunnel before the first snap happened. So he probably thought to himself, let me see if I can. And then he probably said, you know what, let me not even force it. And those would be the moments that can separate you saving your season from a season-ending injury, right? So it's a good thing A.J. Brown and the coaching staff and the nutritional and strength and conditioning staff, the medical staff, basically, it's a good thing that they had the presence of mind to say, you know what, let's not. We should be able to win this game.
There's an interesting caveat to that.
Okay.
And I just thought of this. In my opinion, the reason why they did that, because they was up by 22 points.
Of course. It was
right?
22. At that time, I think they were up. Actually, at that time, I think they were only up 16. Wasn't it? Not at that point. At that point, because they went into halftime up 16-0. And then he went right back into the tunnel. Like as soon as they came out of halftime, he left right away. So they were up 16-0 at that point.
Right. But my point was,
right,
that was not a situation that he was worried about. Like in the back of your mind, you're thinking, we got this. Let me make sure, because it looks like we got this. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of falls back into,
you're right.
We don't, because of some of the decisions that Sirianni is making, we don't have this. It's not guaranteed. It's not put your foot on their neck and put up another 14 points before they get in it. It's like that to me is the missing piece. That's what we don't have. I mean, we had it against the Giants. Okay. Why couldn't we done that with the Jaguars? And yes, they got a couple lucky plays and a couple of bad calls.
You put your foot on your neck with Cincinnati. I would give them that.
Yes, absolutely.
You put your foot on their neck in that game. You bring up a good point, though, because, you know, when A.J. Brown came out, remember, the Jags had the ball first.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he sat and watched that drive And once they got the ball back, he was like, okay, all right, we should be able to win this game. But nonetheless, you bring a good point, man, the Nick Sirianni angle. And since we're here, let's talk about it, right? Nick Sirianni versus Mike McCarthy. You know, two guys who've won a lot in this league. Mike McCarthy obviously has a full slate of experience that Nick Sirianni hasn't accumulated, but both coaches are going through their own fair share of criticism throughout the season. Nick Sirianni has been criticized for his in-game decisions despite having a roster that's been overcoming. And Mike McCarthy's been picked apart for the simplicity or the lack of innovation in the Cowboys offensive, scheme and just the overall product on the football field, right? So give me your perspective on just the two parallel the two parallel lanes of dissension that both of these coaches are dealing with in their respective organizations.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And I really had to. I am consciously trying to fall back, trying to pump my brakes on the criticism of Sirianni, because when you and McCarthy to that extent, because when you look at the macro, when you look at everything, did they have this same type of energy when they were winning? At least McCarthy, anyways. Because when Dallas is winning, you can't shut them up. Them Cowboys fans, you can't shut them up. And I will say, rightfully so, because we the same way. That's what they supposed to be with their fan base. But it's amazing how that energy switches when things don't go your way. You think he calling the plays differently? You think they practice differently? Nah, they doing the same stuff.
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb was running that same route, except before he caught the ball. Now he dropped it. Is that McCarthy's fault?
That's a good question. That's a good point.
Is that Dak's fault when you hit them in the hands and they drop the ball? You know what I'm saying? So it's very interesting how that energy shifts based on the win or loss. Now, Sirianni's issue, Sirianni is like your parents watching you right after you learn how to drive. They know you know how to drive. They're just not comfortable with you yet. The possibility of injury or accident is a little bit higher because you don't have that experience. Now, in the big scheme of things, Sirianni's got 3 years experience. Well, then the next thing comes along is you've been driving for this long and you still speeding through, you still not coming through a complete stop. You know, you're still doing things where you look at it like, come on, man, you're supposed to be beyond that. I know you know what you're doing.
So what are those moments? So what are those moments for you? What are those moments for you? What are those moments? I'm glad you said that. What are those specific moments for you? Right, not the ones that everyone else is talking about, and it could be whatever else is talking about. But what are those moments for you where you say, "Brother, you should be beyond that"? When it comes to Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, it's. I take the jawing with the fans, put that aside.
Okay.
Because to me that's a personality thing. When I played ball, when I was in college, I was the best ever in 1AA at that time. So couldn't nobody touch me. But I wasn't a shit talker. That just wasn't my personality. So I think when a lot of people get mad at that, it's a personality thing. Very similar to what's going on with DeJean in Colorado. I don't like what DeJean does, but he's winning. I'm enjoying watching the show. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have my kids doing all of that but it's a new era, right? But as far as Sirianni goes, and for me, it's some of the obvious decisions he is not making. That simple. There's obvious situations where if you want to look at analytics, go ahead and look at analytics. If you're going to use analytics, just use the ones that work and act upon them. And sometimes you got to have your own feel to the game, and it can't always be, let's go for 2. It can't always be, let's go for it at 4th down, because there's a reason why coaches that don't do that win championships. There's a time and a place to do that. Everybody's all, gung-ho about Dan Campbell in Detroit, but you remember how he lost in the playoffs because he was aggressive. Even though, just like Sirianni, even though he called the right play. Saquon Barkley drops that pass, we are 1 pass away from being a 1-loss team, right? Dan Campbell calls that play on 4th down, hits the receiver in the hands, and he drops it. What do? Can you blame him for that when he called the right play? Can you blame Sirianni when he called the right play? My issue is there are some situations where the possibility exists and you got to remove it. The possibility exists that if Saquon Barkley doesn't catch that pass, the clock stops and they don't have no timeouts. So we put the pressure on them. So take the possibility away. Run the ball 2 times. We can't tush push for 3 yards on the goal line. We can't do that. And even if we do, you run the clock down. So that's the difference between giving somebody however long they had and then whittling it down to like maybe 20 seconds they would have had left to go the length of the field. So it's different things like that he gets paid to make those decisions. And in my opinion, some of those he's making the wrong decisions. Take the point sometimes and go up. When you go for 2, when you could have kicked the field goal, it wouldn't have made a difference. You'd have still been a 2-score lead if you would have kicked the extra point. Why are you going for 2? It makes no sense in those situations. So sometimes, and me and you say this all the time, he's making it complicated and it shouldn't be. That's my issue with Sirianni. He doesn't do it all the time, but obviously in Philadelphia, we're going to blow it up because you got a big contingency of people that really don't like Sirianni.
Right.
But that's why I say I got to pump the brakes, because when you have that, you got to balance the other side. These boys are playing for him. This defense is playing for him. Say what you want about Sirianni, like him or not. He is a player's coach, and the players are responding, period. All the rest of it, if you don't like it, you ain't got to like it. As long as I get that W. Remember, it doesn't say UW. It doesn't say UL. It just says win or loss. Ugly ain't involved.
It's funny. I know Nick Sirianni. And what I mean by that is I know his type. I know I've met him many times in my life. Right? You know, being from Philly, like when I say Philly, I mean Philly head to toe, top to bottom. I'm a 4-4 guy for all four Philly sports teams. I mean, I grew up in Philly all my life. That's all I know. 23rd and Diamond. Like, I mean, I'm in the trenches, and I've met all different kinds of characters in Philly. You've been living on the East Coast for a while. Like, you meet all different kinds of people in Philly, and I know his personality. Yeah. So, in my heart of hearts, he doesn't bother me. In my heart of hearts, he doesn't bother me because I know him. I've met him so many times. I know that type. So in my heart, he doesn't bother me. All the bravado, I live off that. I feed off that. I inject that in my veins. But then there comes a point in time where you have to know how to channel it, especially when you're making in-game decisions. And you don't want that bravado and that emotion, that arrogance to take over your decision-making in the game. Yeah. And exactly. I believe, just like most things, there's a time and place when to do it, when to say it, so on and so forth. I look at aggression in football from the coaching perspective. I look at it like a hammer, right? You use a hammer to hammer nails in, right? You use a hammer for a particular task. You don't use it to fix everything. Right. You don't use a hammer when you're trying to do the plumbing, or you don't use a hammer when you're trying to knit a sweater. You don't use a hammer in every situation. Exactly. And I felt like that Jags game, he was using a hammer. He was using a hammer every chance he got. Yeah. And I just felt like it was unnecessary. Now, it's funny. I was talking to my man John McMullen about this the other day, and I questioned him about the decision making Nick Sirianni's been having over the past few weeks, right? Or throughout the season. Let's say that, throughout the season. And he had a different perspective on it. And we're not going to spend too much time on the Nick stuff. We're definitely going to get deeper into the game, of course. Right. But I think this is an interesting angle we've approached. When I said to him, where's the line between aggression and recklessness, right? Like, is there ever a right time to just take the points? And in so many words, John was like, no. The Philadelphia Eagles, they're 18-20 in those situations on the 4th and 1 on the tush push. They're 18 for 20 in those situations. They have an over 90% success rate. The Eagles have gotten this far, and they've had the success they've gotten because of this type of aggressiveness. So the last thing I want to do is change who this person is, because there are sometimes where coaches change their stripes at the wrong time. So his mindset is, no, that's a loser mentality. at the end of the day, you keep your foot on the gas and you keep playing the game that you play the game the way you've designed it
what
to be
got you
played.
there?
What got
Yeah,
you there, basically.
You do what got you there.
So I understand both sides of the coin. But how do we as content creators, how do us as spectators of this sport, of this team, try to find that balance of our emotions, right? Trying to find that balance of, hey, you know what, Nick? I understand why you're going for it there. I probably wouldn't do that, but I get it. Versus like, hey, Nick, go for it. And he's like, nah, not right now. How do we balance this feeling that we're constantly getting from this head coach? It's a because again, like I said, for me, I know him. He doesn't bother me innately.
But it's funny you say that. So go back in your mental Rolodex, all them people that you know like that, all them people that you grew up like that.
Okay.
How many of those people, when push come to shove and they had to coach a game or they've been talking big smack on Madden and then you schooled them, and when push came to shove and they were in the situation, folded. Because everybody that talk a big game ain't got a big game.
But you know what I respect? Is that they keep talking no matter what.
But the problem is that you got to live with the results. And not only do you have to live with the results, we got to live with the results. Something happened to me one time, and I thought about this. I was coaching back in the day when I was coaching for the GT Stallions here in South Jersey. And I had you know how parents and coaches are. Parents in my ear, blah, 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 blah. Why ain't my kid getting the ball? And da, 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 da. His kid ain't even a starter. And this parent chirped at me so bad. While the game is going on, I put his kid in the game, and he immediately fumbled the ball. And I turned around and looked dead at him. And I was like, now you understand why your kid ain't in the game. But then you got to reflect. I did that at my team's detriment.
Yeah, just
to prove a point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So was that the right thing to do? Personally, it felt good.
Probably
now
for
you
the short
say
term.
out of my face.
For the short term, it probably was the right thing to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For me, It felt good. But if I'm looking at an aspect for the team, I just called the turnover because I knew better. But I wanted to shut him up so bad. And I look at that situation kind of like Sirianni, like sometimes you gotta pull back and you gotta do what's best for the team. And I think your analogy with the hammer is perfect. You know what I'm saying? You don't need the anvil hammer. You know, you need a nice ball peen hammer that put that nail so you can hang up the picture. You don't need a sledgehammer.
Sometimes you need a screwdriver. You know,
exactly, man.
Sometimes
he just
you know what I mean.
But his personality is uber aggressive. Listen, he an Ohio boy. He went to Mount Union. I get it. He not far from that area where the Kelseys grew up. So I get that attitude, but the wisdom comes in when can you temper it? You got to know when to turn it on and turn it off. So, and I think, in my opinion, that's what he struggles with a little bit. And we've been burned for it. What we don't want to happen is for us to get burned when it matters the most. That is what we don't want to happen.
That's a good point. Now, I will say this on the other side, then we can move on from the Nick Sirianni part. We could put a pin in it after this. There was a moment where Nick Sirianni was in the game of his life, and he was being aggressive all season, all throughout the playoffs, all even in that game, first half of that game. And then when things got a little tight, you know, when the lights got a little bit too bright, instead of doing what got him there, being aggressive, he decided to punt it in the Super Bowl in the second half, and that led to a really huge Kadarius Toney punt return and
special teams.
You were at that point. You're behind the 8 ball. Now, Lord knows what happens if they got to go the whole length of that field, but Kadarius Toney put them in the red zone. So it's like, damn. The moment I took my foot off the gas, the moment I got a little passive, it bit me in the biggest moment.
Right.
So again, we got to challenge ourselves as spectators. How are we going to carry this? Are we strictly going to just base it off the results, or are we going to respect the game no matter what?
You got to take the results because ain't nobody talking about if we lose to the Cowboys today, ain't nobody gonna be talking about respect. Ain't nobody we'll be right back in that conversation. Like, yeah, it's time for Sirianni to go.
That's true.
Because regardless, I look at it like this, regardless of what happens when you coach it and stuff like that, because I can look at the game and I know Y'all on the field, y'all not getting it done. Period.
Mm-hmm.
The coach doesn't throw a block. He doesn't throw a pass. He doesn't catch a pass. He doesn't kick a field goal. Coaches don't do any of that. So I got to take some of that off of Sirianni because that's not his fault. But, and I use this as an example, when you look at the Tampa Bay game from last year, it looked like we were not prepared. That was where the anger was at the end of last year. It looked like we talked about this. We know they're going to blitz. We know what Ty Bowles is going to do. We know what's coming, and it looks like we didn't even practice for it.
That's a good point.
How you know it's a blitz?
I can accept the loss. That's a real good point.
Yeah.
I can accept the loss. I can accept when you look unprepared.
It's how you do it.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of times how we let Jacksonville back in the game.
That's a good point. You're right.
How do we get?
It's always the how. It's always the how,
Exactly.
right? Like, because
so it's not losing, it's how you lose. And the way we lost, with the way we lost to Tampa Bay, if he would have gotten fired, I would have understood. I didn't want him to be fired, but I would have understood. And we're not going to fire him because he was jaw-jacking with some fans. That's nonsense. Look at his overall record and how many of these Uber coaches and these gurus in the league, how many coaches had that type of record in their first 3 to 3.5 years in the league? It's ridiculous. So you can't take that away from him. If you're going to rip him when he's bad, you got to give him the praise too.
Yeah. You bring up you brought up some good points, and bottom line is this is something he's going to have to carry throughout the season. The football world has lost faith in Nick Sirianni. I already could see it, and you can just hear it in their language. He's almost a joke to them, and they're just waiting for the shoe. They're waiting for the shoe to drop. And
I don't necessarily agree with that, but
you don't agree that they. What don't you agree with exactly?
I don't think that they've lost faith in him. I think they're on the fence. I think it's a situation where when they win, it's like, whew, Nick didn't do. When you don't do nothing stupid, you see what we can do.
Well, I'm not talking about I'm talking about. I don't mean anybody in that building. By the way,
No.
Okay,
I'm talking about fandom as well because
okay.
I always use the term. He's building up equity in the fan base, in the Philadelphia fan base. Okay. And he loses equity in the fan base. And every time he does a dumb decision and we barely win against the Saints and we choke against the Bucks and then we barely win against the Jaguars, he loses a little bit of equity because the reason how we're losing, it's like, why would you do that? But when we're winning, we run over the Giants and it's like, see what happens when you run the ball and you make those decisions. So it's like it's bipolar, it's up and down, but it's evening itself out. But when it goes bad, it just goes real bad real quick.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Analytics. My man Rufus Wallace says something interesting, like analytics versus game flow. Are you just going to strictly rely on mathematical equations to get to the finish line, or are you going to eventually have a feel for the game? And that's going to be the challenge for Nick Sirianni. Balancing both of those things, because just like I said about aggression is like a hammer, right? You don't use it in every instance. I have the same mindset for analytics. I feel like analytics is again a tool to be used, but not in every scenario or every situation. That's just me. Let's transition unless you have something to say about that.
Now I was gonna say real quick, who are the last 10-15 years? Who are the most winningest coaches in the league? Belichick, Andy Reid. Who else? It's not a long list.
Kyle Shanahan's won a lot.
Kyle Shanahan.
Harbaugh's won a lot.
Out of those coaches, I'd be curious to see how much they actually use analytics.
Yeah. Again, I think it's seasoning. It's sauce. It's complimentary. It's a condiment, right? It shouldn't be the meal.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be what you bank. Your wins and losses on. Like there are moments when you should use it for sure. But nonetheless, though, this matchup is going to be interesting because the Cowboys, their defense, again, like we mentioned, they've been dealing with injuries. They can't stop the run. They can't keep points off the board. Their red zone defense is awful. Their tackling is terrible. Just top to bottom, they haven't been playing well on defense. They've been a shell of themselves on the defensive side, and getting Michael Parsons back is definitely a shot in the arm. But at the same time, they weren't playing well when he was there. So you got to ask yourself, what exactly are we getting when we face the Cowboys on defense, right? Jalen Hurts, he's been playing some of his best football, his most efficient football, his most effective football. What are you looking towards in this game when you think about Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense versus that Cowboys defense?
I'm looking for the Eagles to go at the Cowboys like they are 100% healthy. That's how they got to play this game. Take everybody, all of the question marks, who's playing, who just come off an injury, who's hurt. Take all of that off the table. You got to come at them like they are 100% and they ready to rock and roll. Because at the end of the day, whoever they got playing, they still don't want to lose in Dallas. So to me, that's just another indication of us being able to go down there and dominate for 4 quarters. I've only seen that 1 week. So if you want to do it, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to put your foot down and make an impression in the league, in the media, everywhere to let people know that Philadelphia Eagles are for real. Because a lot of people don't necessarily believe that because of the schedule. But it's funny because the outlook of the Cowboys, will this be a signature win if we beat the Cowboys? People will look at it like it is, even though the Cowboys are worse than the Bengals. They're probably on par maybe with the Giants. You know what I'm saying? Just, think about it. Player for player, they're probably a better team, but the way they've been playing hasn't been good. So what's the difference? So, but because they're the Cowboys and because they're always on everybody's tongues, this would be a signature win, especially if we dominate them like we did the Bengals and the Giants.
Yeah, dominate them on the road.
On the road, yes, down in Jerry World. Absolutely.
Yeah, because a lot of people have already, the Saints have, the Ravens have, for the most part. I mean, they haven't been able to protect home court or home field all season long. Since that Green Bay game, they have not recovered. They've not recovered. Green Bay, I don't know what they did to the water in Jerry World, but they have not been able to recover since that loss. And it's something to be it's something to be said about that. With Trevon Diggs dealing with a calf strain, DeRon Bland still not back yet. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they were dealing with their fair share of things this week. But Devontae seems not concerned at all about his hamstring. And AJ's been the full participant with the knee. Dallas Goedert should be back. He was a full participant. So the Eagles are getting healthy at a great time. You're obviously still without Jordan Mailata, but Fred Johnson has been able to hold up. Hasn't been perfect, but he's held up. He's been
up and down. He's been up and down.
Yeah.
I expected a better game from him after what I saw in Cincinnati, because you went up against one of the best in the league, and you had a great game.
Yeah, he leads the league in sacks right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. Like, he ain't no slouch, and Fred Johnson held his own. I think Hendricks only got one pressure that game.
Yes.
But great job. And then, the following week, not so much. So it's up and down. I meant to get with you earlier because Isaiah Rodgers didn't have a very good game. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. So I don't know if anybody's going to look to pick
Isaiah
on him.
Rodgers' performance perplexes me because, some people say, "Oh yeah, he was getting routed up," and then some of these metrics indicate that he really didn't take advantage of as much as people think. So let me just pull this up one final time when it comes to Isaiah Rodgers, because his performance from that game in particular, very much confuses me. So let me just pull up Isaiah Rodgers real quick.
Listen, man, never forget, man. Numbers don't lie, but they can deceive.
Right. Okay. So in that Jags game, it's saying here he played 51 total snaps.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It says here he was targeted 6 times, and this is NFL Next Gen Stats.
Right.
Says here he was targeted 6 times, gave up 2 receptions for 34 total yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, a 53.5 passer rating allowed when targeted. Do you buy that, or did your eyes tell you something different? Because I did see him give up a couple passes, but they were key passes, and I think that's why people were upset. They were key passes. You know what I'm saying? Because he was sharp all game. When things got a little hot, he did give up key passes at moments you didn't need him to give up. I think that's why people are bloviating about his performance. What's your thoughts on that?
They're exactly right. They're exactly right. It's like, what happens if somebody, I don't know, if a running back goes over 100 yards, but it was in garbage time?
Or a running back goes over 100 yards and you're winning the game and he fumbles and you lose the game after that fumble.
Exactly. Or you ran for 100 yards, but you had 30 carries. You know, stuff like that. I look at it exactly how you explained it. When it was crunch time and it was third and long and we had to get off the field and they convert on you, that's what I'm looking at. In clutch times, get us off the field. I don't need you know me, you don't have to make a play to make the play. But sometimes you do, especially when it's third and long and you know they got to protect the sticks. Yeah. Protect the sticks. What defense are we running where they get right past the first down marker, run that out pattern, and then we burn? And it seems like we give that up too often. Now I know that's a very nuanced statement because it's not as cut and dry as that. But to your point, in two key situations, we need that stop, and he didn't make it. So that's what we're looking at, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
I understand that. It's the reality is, right, you can make 50 perfect plays. On that 51st play, where if you compromise the team or compromise the game, those first 50 plays go out the window. And that's the beautiful thing about football, right? You got to be on your P's and Q's every single play. You got to make the right. You got to make the right football play at the end of the day. I want to get to this Eagles defensive side of the ball because they've been gaining steam and they've been building confidence, right? And I feel like this 4-game streak that they are on, this 4-game stretch, was perfectly placed for them. Coming off of the bye, how they're personally constructed, the young core. I feel like this was the perfect combination of games to get them back on track, to rebuild that confidence. And now you carry that over into a Dallas game. You carry that over into a Washington Commanders Thursday game, right? Give me your perspective on this Eagles defense versus this Cowboys offense. We know the Cowboys offense has been very anemic throughout the season.
Yeah.
Give me your perspective on how this Eagles defense can neutralize and take advantage of that Cowboys offense that will be without Dak Prescott.
I think we have the opportunity to take advantage of the line of scrimmage. We can take advantage of the fact that they really don't have a running game right now. I haven't heard anything about Zeke playing. Is he still suspended or whatever his situation is?
I have no idea, but I think that kid Rico Dowdle is getting a start. Rico Dowdle, running back.
He's always been starting, but he's not. He's all right. Yeah, but all right ain't getting it done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
and I think they haven't committed enough. They've been trying too hard to just keep mixing matching the running backs out there. Hey, let's put this guy out there. But this guy, they haven't committed to Rico yet, and I think that's the problem.
But we got to take advantage of that, because we said the same thing when we went into Tampa Bay. We started talking about that rookie running back they had. It was like, I'm not scared of him, and he ran all over us. So we just need to handle business. Get with that line of scrimmage and dominate that line of scrimmage like Jalen Carter's been doing the whole year. We just need more of that. There is nothing anybody can say about our linebacking core right now. Nothing. Zach Bond is a reincarnation of TJ Edwards again. Howie Roseman, do what you're supposed to do this time. Don't let him walk out the building. Give him the money now, or the price is only going up. You already know this dude has been playing. And I'm so happy that we had an opportunity to talk about him way in preseason. We were both like, yo, this dude, I'm just saying, he's the dark horse. And it panned out 100%. This dude is playing.
Absolutely.
He is paying so many dividends, it's not even funny. And then it's always interesting to me when you look at somebody like Zach Bond. How did New Orleans let him slip away? It makes no sense. But then I look at what we did with TJ Edwards. We let him go after he had a phenomenal year. Nakobe Dean is coming into his own. It is what it is. Y'all know why I like Nakobe Dean. He is a hustle player. He makes stuff happen. And I texted him when he got that pick, and I was like, "You finally made up for that drop pick 6 in Brazil." You know what I'm saying? So he's finally arrived, and the confidence is there, and just the leadership qualities that we all knew was there. And everybody's still talking about, is he too small? I don't know if he's too small. I just know he's making plays. Period. That's what you want. Because again, you can find other people in the league with all of the measurables and stereotypes and all of that kind of stuff, and they're not getting it done like he is. So just be happy that we got the guy that works in our system with our coaches, with his coworkers. Him and Zach Bond together are getting it done. That's all we need to see. Our young guns in the secondary, man, every game they get better and better and better. Every game.
That's the part that makes me feel like this team will be able to beat anybody when the time comes.
Exactly.
Because I know we can put up points. We have the talent. I'm not concerned about. I think the offense has figured out exactly how they want to win games, what they want to do. I think they figured it out, and I think they've committed to it. The defensive side, when you see these young guys, let's just stay on the linebacker core, right? When you see Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean making the strides that they've made, right? They both played in all 8 games. They've both played a minimum of 94% of the total defensive snaps. But between Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, they have 139 total tackles. They have I want to say they have over 80 stops. They have 4 sacks between them. They got 14 quarterback pressures. They have 2 interceptions. They both have passer ratings allowed less 74 or less. Zach Bond has a 60.9 passer rating allowed. Nakobe Dean has a 74.8 passing rating allowed. That's some of the best on the team.
Right.
The best person that I would say qualifies snap-wise on defense would probably be Reed Blankenship, because Isaiah Rodgers just getting snaps. So Reed Blankenship, he has the best passer rating allowed with 58.0. And then you got Zach Bond with 60.9. Then you got Quinyon Mitchell with 72.9. Cooper DeJean with 74.8. Nakobe Dean with 74.8. You're seeing not only your guys on the boundary, but your guys in the interior are playing very well in coverage. And not only is that a Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond cocktail, that's Cooper DeJean in there as well. Cooper DeJean, I think he was the last stone on the Infinity Gauntlet. now you're seeing this defense. Now you're seeing this defense play not only well, but play well together. And you can go top to bottom. And this will be my last point, and I'll let you cook, Marcus, because I think this is going to be a very interesting angle that I want you to approach. This team had a chance to make a move at the deadline. They decided not to. Could they have swung for the fences? Could Howie had manufactured some move? Sure. He's a master at that. But he assessed this team from top to bottom, in particular on the defensive side, because I think a lot of people felt like, hey, we need more help on the edge. We need more help here. We need more help there, right? And the strides they've taken as a team, Howie Roseman felt comfortable enough. They've played well enough where Howie Roseman has sat still at the deadline for the first time since when? So that says a lot about where they are now and where they could potentially be going. Give me your perspective on that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We always talk about addition by subtraction, and you can also have subtraction by addition. Every good thing ain't a good thing. So, and I do believe this leans in a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Well, you got to give Sirianni a little credit, because the everybody in that locker room is focused. Everybody is facing the same direction, going in the same direction, working together to go forward. It is very That is an excellent place to be in the locker room, but that is always a fragile environment because any one thing could just, shatter the floor. So you got to be careful who you bringing in and who you letting out.
Stay there. What message does that send to a team when your GM, because everybody pays attention when the deadline comes up, everyone's like, all right, who's moving? What's coming and what's going out? What message does that send to the team when the GM, when everybody above says, you know what, we're good. You guys, we like what we have. Yes. What does that do to the locker room? You played, you've experienced, different versions of this. Just give me the perspective of that belief that a team feels from their GM when they don't make a move, when they could make a move.
It's like I'm not sure if this is the best analogy, but it's kind of like an unexpected relief, an unexpected break.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You've been grinding and you're not expecting for somebody to just, all right, take an hour for yourself. You're not expecting that. So when you get it, it's like, oh man, now I can recoup and reset and refocus, because that's a stress that is ever present in the NFL. You could be kicked out at any moment. That has nothing to do with you. The numbers game, we had to make a trade, so we had to make some decisions, and we appreciate what you've been doing, but good luck to you. And it's like, to have that stress removed for a little bit of time, or at least to the rest of the year. They can't make any more moves unless somebody gets hurt or something like that. But that lets the players know that we're good. You still don't let your guard down. You still got to perform and produce on the field. But
it has to be a confidence booster. It has to be a confidence booster in terms of how we've been playing, how good we can be, the foresight. It has to be a confidence booster.
One less thing to worry about, and like, all right, we here now. This is us. Family on 3. All of that. We us right now. Everything is good. Everybody's working. Everybody knows each other. And we don't have to have any strangers coming into our house. That's the most important thing.
Does it set back in particular on the defensive side? Is it fair to surmise that making a splash trade could disrupt the chemistry and the communication and the equity you've built up amongst your teammates?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you never know what you're going to get. You never know, is somebody coming in there trying to be the alpha, and you already got guys that are in there that are established. I don't know this to be true. Was that some of the situation with Devin White? Was he trying to assert himself a little bit too much and hasn't really done anything in a year and a half? So I don't know, because where's Devin White now? And have you heard from him?
He's in Houston last time I checked. I don't know if he's even playing. Let me double check.
Yeah, I don't even think he's played yet. But my point is you have to be very careful, because sometimes personalities just don't get along. Sometimes personalities, they just two likes repel. Now you got some people that might not get along, but they got enough respect for the team and respect for the game to do what they got to do. That don't mean you got to hang out together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But the locker room is very fragile, and all it takes is one thing to really screw it up. So when you got a good group, when you got your established leaders and everybody's doing what they are supposed to do, you got to roll with that, and there's no need to break it up or change anything.
Yeah. Devin White, he's been active for Houston. He's played in 2 games for them. His first game was in Week 8, where the Texans won 23-20. He had 3 tackles, 1 stop. He was in on 7 pass rush snaps. He had 4 quarterback pressures. He was targeted twice. Didn't give up any receptions. A 39.6 passer rating when targeted, and then he played again in Week 9, where his snap count dropped significantly from 32 snaps in that Colts game in Week 8 to only 9 in Week 9. That's strange to me.
Yeah.
That's strange.
It's
above all else, him, that stands out to me.
It's something with him.
To go from 32 snaps
something
in your debut to just 9 in the Jets game.
They keeping that in-house. Whatever it is going on with him, because it is something, because you can't deny that the dude's got talent. And when you got obvious talent, why aren't you playing them? So there's something with that. And again, we might not find out until 15 years from now in the 30 for 30 on ESPN. We'll never know.
Right, because it can't
weird.
That can't just be. I don't know if he got hurt. I don't know.
I don't know.
That can't just be a package difference or two.
Yeah.
32 snaps to go from 32 snaps in a game to 9.
To 9?
That's more than just a package shift. That's okay. You're a liability right now. I don't know. But regardless though, I think this defense is going in the right direction. Seeing Howie not make a move at the deadline told you everything about how he views his defense and how good they can be. And on top of that, right, there comes a point in time where, you know what? I'll say it like this. I truly appreciate the commitment and the discipline Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio have had when it comes to their young players. They have committed to keeping these brothers on the field, good, bad, or indifferent. They've committed to it. And obviously, if you're playing bad, they're not going to have you. But they're allowing them to go through the growing pains. It just so happens that you got some rookies out there who they're not really experiencing too many growing pains. They're having them, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But Quinyon Mitchell has come into the league fairly polished for his experience level. Cooper DeJean has come in fairly polished for his experience level. And you got new guys that nobody expected to do anything, like a Zach Bond, right? You got young guys that you drafted finally starting to show some value with a Nakobe Dean and a Nolan Smith, right? Jordan Davis, even though he's an early down player right now, only really playing first and second down, the occasional third down, if it's a third and short or fourth and short, they found a way to optimize and maximize his contributions. And at the end of the day, I'm all about doing what's best for a team and making sure you're getting the most out of everybody when you need to get the most out of them. And I think that's pretty much what you've been getting, at least from guys like, Jordan Davis. Did you know Jalen Carter played over 50 snaps in that game last week? He played damn near all the snaps. I think he missed like 2 snaps, 3 snaps in that game. He played every snap damn near.
Getting it in. That's what you expect from a top pick.
Exactly.
That's what you expect. He is doing as expected. Yeah. And paying dividends.
Right.
How many hurries does he have? How many pressures does he have?
Jalen Carter?
Yeah.
Jalen Carter on the season, I got you right here. On the season. All right.
I'm looking at the same thing. I'm looking at NFL.com, bro.
All right, here we go. Jalen Carter. On the season, this brother has 22 quarterback pressures, 3 sacks. Let's see here. 367 snaps played. His snap count has drastically increased. He's on the field 79.4% of the time compared to 51.1% from last season. So you can tell he's been putting the work in with his motor. You can tell.
Right. You can tell. He's got more opportunity now that Fletcher's out of there. So
yeah, that part too. So yeah, man. Yeah. Having a solid season, especially for the D tackle spot. Obviously we would love to have more sacks, but we know those first 4 games, everybody kind of started behind the 8 ball. Yeah. And now everyone's stats is finally starting to catch up a little bit. Just a little bit.
Is he playing up to first round status?
I would say so.
I'll agree.
I would say
that's
so.
All you want.
He's been according to Pro Football Focus, he's been one of the highest graded D tackles in the league. I think he's been top 5 or top 3 for many weeks in a row. Like just on the season, I think he's top 3 as far as defensive tackle grades.
That's all you want from your draft picks,
right?
Yeah, so you got to give Howie credit with that one as well. I give Big Dom credit for that
one. Why you say that?
Because Big Dom had to do some investigating when all of that stuff happened. I got one of my boy Willie T. When Willie T was a scout for the Raiders, he told me one time. He said, "Man," he said when they about to pay a first round draft pick all this money, he said, you think they don't do no investigating to figure out if this is worth their investments?" So I can imagine, teams got to send some people down on campus to see what they acting like at the parties and all of that kind of stuff. Because think about it. If you're about to invest $20+ million in a player, you better have your ducks in a row. So when all of that stuff went down with the car crash after the national championship game, all of that type of stuff, rest assured that the Eagles had to do some investigating and figure out what was what, because that could have went very wrong very quickly. So shout out to Dom, and I'm assuming he does all the investigation. We just think he does. I don't know if he does or not. But whoever did it for the Eagles, they put their nose to the ground and they got the information that Howie needed to make an intelligent decision, and he did. And now it's paying dividends.
Yeah, it's funny. Dom, all you know about Dom is that each year he just keeps getting more tags added onto his title.
I love that dude, man.
And I'm like, yo, I love this guy. I met him too, met him in person. He is as advertised.
Dom
cool,
is exactly
calm, laid, but like just a cool dude. Like cool I ran into him. I was like, Big Dom, yada yada yada. I said, oh yeah, D-Gun told me about you. He said, what's up? He said, oh, D-Gun, that's my dog. He's the realest. Like he's just a down to earth communicator. Like just a
down to earth dude, somebody that you don't want to cross.
Yeah. And
at the same time, that's the dude you want in that dark alley.
Right. And
that's the guy you want at your back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I couldn't agree with you more. I do want to pick your brain a little bit more before we get out of here, though.
Sure.
I do want to pick your brain about how important these next two games are to the overall, not only playoff picture, but the NFC East picture, right? You got Dallas, and then you got Washington in less than a week.
Washington.
You got two games in 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my approach on this when it comes to the offensive side of things, right? In particular, Saquon Barkley. I think it's going to be imperative for the Philadelphia Eagles to take care of business early in this game, and not allow this to turn into a game where Saquon has to tote the rock, if at all, in that fourth quarter.
Right.
I think over the course of the next two games, Kenneth Gainwell and possibly Will Shipley, if they decide to give him snaps, those backup running backs, their snaps are going to be more valuable than ever, in my opinion, because this is the point in the season where guys can run into a brick wall, can get hurt. Facts. You know what I mean? He's coming
to the league. This is
that
time of the year.
Barkley's coming off of his heaviest workload game, where he really shouldn't have had that workload, but it was what it was.
Was what it was.
I think this is a game. If you and obviously that Washington matchup is the one we're really looking towards. If you want the best version of Saquon Barkley in that game, Kenny Gainwell, I need you to do more than average 2 or 3 yards a carry in a football game. Right? Now, granted, he's had his games where he's giving you a 12, 13, 14-yard run, 15-yard run. He's had his moments, don't get me wrong. But he hasn't consistently been the reliever I need him to be for Saquon Barkley.
Agreed.
Because trust me, if Saquon is rolling and then he takes a break and Kenny goes out there and Kenny gets a 10-yarder or a 5-yarder and Kenny just keeps you on schedule, you think they're going to just throw Saquon out? You think they're going to want to force Saquon out there?
Yeah.
Kenny Gainwell has to do a better job at relieving Saquon and providing steady contributions in the run game so they can feel secure enough with allowing Saquon to maybe rest for a drive.
Man, listen,
we
on the same wavelength.
What's your thoughts on that?
We on the same wavelength. I was thinking the exact verbatim
because no one's talking about it. No one's talking about the Kenny Gainwell angle of this. I've not heard not a single content creator, not a single anybody who's close to the situation talk about how valuable Kenny Gainwell's reps are, especially when you're trying to get to where we want to go.
And listen, very much like I feel about Nakobe Dean. I like Kenny Gainwell. I love that kid. Always, he's in my opinion, he's a better blocker than Saquon. But I love his drive. He makes the most out of the opportunities when he gets them, right?
And he's running hard this year. He's running hard.
However,
I had a hard time understanding why he couldn't get off in that Jags game.
However, I like that Shipley kid. I like that Shipley kid. I want to see that kid get some snaps.
When we drafted him, I said, "Yo, he's going to take his job." I said that, and some people was like, "Yeah, I agree." Some people was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." I'm like, I'm telling you, I like how he runs.
Shipley is good.
He runs recklessly, and I in a
Shipley
good way.
reminds me of Garendo out of Louisville. I think San Francisco picked him up.
Okay.
Shipley is a big kind of a big guy. I think Shipley is like what 215. He's not a small back, but he can generate a lot of speed. He's quicker than he looks, and he can get through that hole, man. And he runs with power, and I love that. So I'm with you, man. I want to see Gainwell take some of the load off of Saquon, but if possible, man, we got to get this young boy some snaps because he is going to eventually pay some heavy dividends for the Eagles in the future.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of upset they took away his touchdown in that in that game.
I was salty too.
Was it the Cincinnati game? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yep.
I was sick about that. All right. So as we begin to close the show, Marcus, you know what we normally do, man.
Yes, sir.
Where are we? Bowl predictions, score predictions, keys to the game. So let's get to the keys to the game, right? What are your keys to the game for the Eagles on offense, and your final keys to the game for the Eagles on defense? What do they need to do to be successful in this game against their rival, the Dallas Cowboys?
In this game, what I would like to see is Jalen Hurts attack the middle of the field again. Right? He's been getting better at that, eliminating all of the notion that he doesn't like to throw in the middle. Attack the middle of the field again. Dallas Goedert's going to be there. A.J. Brown is going to be there. That's where they eat the most. So let's use them. Saquon is going to continue to do Saquon things. Micah Parsons, you still got to deal with Lane Johnson, and Lane Johnson has had a lot of success against Micah Parsons. So I'm looking for them to move Micah around a little bit. If they don't, that will let you know that whatever is bothering him ain't quite 100% yet. So I want to see Fred Johnson do it, but I think the most important thing is I want to see Jalen, Dallas, and AJ attack the middle of the field again. On defense, keep doing what we're doing. There's no reason why we should be beat by Cooper Rush. None. So handle business. We played a lot better offenses than this Dallas Cowboys offense, with or without Dak. And this is just another opportunity to prove it. Defensive line, I need y'all to come alive because you got somebody in Cooper Rush who is not as elusive as Dak can be. So we need to take advantage of that. And defensive line needs to dominate the line of scrimmage.
I love it. Now, give me your bold prediction for this game. Do you have anything bold happen? Now, remember last week I said N'Kobe's going to catch an interception, but I called it a pick six. Yeah. So, I was halfway right. Right. So, give me a bold prediction if you have one this week. Give me something on top of the dome.
You know what? Look out for Nolan Smith.
Okay, what I'm looking for.
Look out for Nolan Smith, 2 sacks today.
Ooh. That offensive line by the Cowboys has been a liability. They got 2 rookies starting, one at center, one at left tackle, and Tyler Guyton lacks focus, rep to rep. And
where is Nolan Smith at?
And Cooper Beebe, although he's a rising talent, he's nowhere near as athletic as was it Benavidez they had last time at center for the Cowboys? And Zach Thomas. He hasn't. Is it Zach Thomas? No,
I'm not.
That doesn't sound right.
For who?
Their guard. The guard for the Cowboys.
Not sure. Let me look it up.
Why am I? Anyway, I think you know what I'm talking about. I think he's left guard. He hasn't really been playing his best as of late. So, you may be onto something. Nolan Smith, Zach Martin. That's what it is. Zach Martin.
Yeah.
Zach Martin. Thank you, Crawley. I appreciate it. So, yes, you may be onto something with that. Maybe. Just maybe. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. Nolan get 2 sacks. Okay, that's a good one. If
Tyler Guyton is questionable, then they got Tyler Smith. So
okay. And Terrence Steele hasn't been the same since that ACL injury. He's still kind of working his way back, and that's like 2 years ago. So okay. All right. Let me see if I got one for you. For some reason, my bold predictions are always on the defensive side. For some reason.
Me too.
Because I don't know why. I know people love offense, but for me, at least for the season, the defense has been the more fun side to watch for me.
Absolutely.
Because of all the different pieces involved and the young guys, just seeing these guys make certain plays. It's been more fun for me to watch them guys. So I say that to say, I think in this game, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean each get an interception in this game.
I hate
Quinyon Mitchell, both the rookies.
I hate that you said that.
Why is it that? What was going on?
Because every time we talk about Quinyon getting the pick, he gets that close. It's like it's something that pops up where he should have had it. He should have it.
He caught the one. Happens. What game was that? The Jags? He caught that one, but he was out of bounds. He caught that one.
Yeah, and then he had one drop through his hand. So I'm not gonna say anything about Quinyon.
Ooh,
for the rest of the year. I just want him to get it. You know what? Because every time we talk about it's one that slips through his fingers. It's like, oh, come on, young fella.
All right, so I'm gonna eliminate that then. I know I said it already. I know I put it in the universe already, but let's pretend it didn't happen, y'all. Let's pretend it didn't happen. My man Jinx Wolf said Jahan Dotson 2 touchdowns. That's a bold ass prediction. That's bold. I like that, Jinx Wolf. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna remember that, Jinx, and make sure you're in the live stream later on when we talk about this game, because if that happens, I'm calling you. So okay, let me switch it up a little bit. Okay, you know what? I was talking about him earlier, and I'm gonna give him a chance. My bold prediction for this game is Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley combined for 80 yards rushing and a touchdown.
What? I'm digging that.
I know that's not a lot of yards, but for backup guys,
that surely is a lot of yards. That's huge. That's big.
Right.
That's big. I like that.
Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley combined for 80 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown.
Lord have mercy. Lucius the show. 5 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts.
Damn.
Okay.
Damn.
That's bold with a capital BOLD. I got
Eddie Holmes said Jalen throwing for 400. Well, he's not doing that. The only way he's doing that is if they losing. Yeah.
He's not going to need to do that.
I like where your head's at though, Eddie. I like the boldness of it. But yeah, that's my bold prediction. Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley combined for 80 yards rushing. Yeah.
I see you.
That means that means that we're going to dominate the run tremendously, and Saquon's going to be on ice early.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's my bold prediction. So hold me to that. Now, your score prediction. What's your score prediction for this game?
My score prediction. Let's go. I want to see 3 to 4, 20. I'm going to say 31 to 10.
I'm going to say Eagles win 34-16. Okay. 34-16. So I'm thinking they get a touchdown in some shape, way, or form. But I'm also thinking that they kick 3 field goals for 9 points. So 9 plus 7, 16. Yeah. And
you know what?
Yeah.
I can see that happening because all of the heat that Sirianni took for not kicking the field goals.
So I think the Eagles win 34-16. 34-16. Okay. Yeah, that's my score. So your bold prediction is Nolan Smith 2 sacks. Mine is Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley combined for 80 yards rushing and a touchdown. And your score prediction is, you said 31 to 10?
31 to 10.
Okay.
Blunt says we're sleeping on Cooper Rush. I'm not sleeping on Cooper Rush. I just think our defense is much better.
I'll put it this way. I'm not sleeping on him this year. Here's why. I saw what he did when he had everything when we played him in 2022. He had the weapons. He had the offensive line. He had the defense. And that was an interesting game. We still dominated his ass, but it was an interesting game. He made it interesting. You expect him to do that or have that same performance or do more with less? You expect him to be solid with less. The defense isn't as good. They're not stopping the run. They can't run the ball. You expect... I mean, they're going to try to be creative with the run game. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb getting the ball in the run game, Turpin getting the ball. They're going to try to be creative to generate some kind of offense in the run game because they can't do it traditionally. But I have a hard time believing that Cooper Rush is going to do anything close to what he did in 2022 with less weapons, with less defensive support.
Turpin is the one you got to watch out for.
Yes, he's the one you got to watch out for. He can.
CeeDee Lamb CeeDee Lamb is in his own head right now, and I think if the Eagles are smart, they will find a way to double CD to force Cooper to go somewhere else.
Right, because he's going to look for that's where the trust is. He's going to try to go for his best guy. Nonetheless, though, go ahead.
Don't frustrate him.
Yes,
don't frustrate CD. I
agree. So there you have it, you guys. Marcus' score prediction 31-10.
Yeah. Real quick, is Deron Bland playing?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not. He's not playing. I think Trevon Diggs is, despite the calf strain. And I think CD is, despite the AC joint. Micah's back. I think DeMarcus Lawrence is still out. So that's that. So, yeah, you guys, there you have it. We appreciate you guys for locking in on the content. You heard our bold predictions. You heard our keys to the game. You heard our score predictions, all right? Jinx, 2 touchdowns for Jahan Dotson. All right, I'm going to hold you to that, brother. I'm going to hold you to
40,
that.
Jinx get a 40 burger? Okay. I ain't mad at you.
I ain't mad at you, big dog. I like it. I like it, man. Listen, you want to dominate the Cowboys. You can end their season today. So let's have some fun, y'all. Can't wait. Can't wait. Y'all know the vibes. Smash the like button. And by the way, smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Pro Fan Talk. That's Coach Marcus's platform on YouTube. He's doing amazing work. He's giving you film breakdown, breaking down all things Eagles and NFL, the business of the industry. He's giving you everything. So make sure you guys lock in on Pro Fan Talk. Pro Fan Talk. I repeat, that's Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys lock in on that. And please make sure you guys lock in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Smash that like button. And we appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. Your Philadelphia Eagles face off with the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. They're looking to improve to 7-2. Can they put an end to the Cowboys season? Can they crush their souls and their spirits and rob them of their dignity? I say yes. And it's straight like that. It's straight like that. Eagles fans, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Go Birds.
And we outie 5,000. Hey, Marcus, spin that shit.
Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tony Marcus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tony Marcus always standing by. Bringing the heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.